So it's pretty safe to say that I'm a big fan of Freddy Krueger. Not just Freddy on a whole, but his gloves. I have been obsessed with Freddy's gloves actually before I was a fan of Freddy on a whole. I'd always see the gloves here and there, and then my mum eventually told me about the character of Freddy Krueger. And ever since I was a kid, ever since I first laid eyes on the glove, I never saw it as a weapon. I always saw them as works of art. Beautiful pieces of prop building engineering, from the blades to the copper pieces, the brass backplate, the fact that they used an old dirty work glove. And I love Wes Craven's idea of having a killer that had a weapon that was so different, that wasn't a butcher's knife, that wasn't a chainsaw, that wasn't a machete. Going back so far as to caveman times, and what were cavemen afraid of? Grizzly bears. And what did grizzly bears have? Claws, talons, and just the fact that Fred Krueger built this in his dirty boiler room with scraps that he had out of an old soiled bag. Today, I'm going to be going through my entire Freddy Krueger glove collection, as well as some little Easter eggs and some little bonus props, some that are in the making at the moment by yours truly. Now, this is my glove collection so far. And what do I mean by that? Well, I still have a few pieces here and there that I want to collect, most notably a versus glove from Freddy versus Jason. Now, when it comes to the versus glove, you have your A hero or your B hero. I am a very big fan of the look of the B hero. Now, to the untrained naked eye, they pretty much look the same, but the more you look at them, there are subtle differences. The A hero is a lot like kind of longer, leaner. I love the stumpiness of the B hero. So I'm in the market for a good versus B hero. There are a few makers who make some beautiful versus gloves, so I'm still umming and ahhing which particular one to go with. But we have the part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and also the Wes Craven's New Nightmare Biohand or Mechanical Claw, the Bone Claw, whatever you want to call it. So sit back, relax, tip your fedoras, and we're going to check out my Freddy Krueger glove collection so far. So the first one I actually want to start with, and it isn't really a glove. This is something I've been working on for years. This is a reproduction of the first Elm Street poster, so the skull and the floating bone claws. So this comprises of that wasn't intentional at all, but fuck, that's funny. Of resin, cast resin from a skull mold I have. This is all liquid latex. The eyes are just placement eyes at the moment. They will eventually get proper green eyes like Robert Englund's eye color. So he does look a bit googly eyed at the moment. But this skeleton hand was from a children's scientific model kit. I've also made the copper and brass armature. The blades still have to be chromed, and obviously putting the red veins and stuff like that. So this is all just temporarily mounted on an armature just to show you guys in the video. The idea I have for this eventually is to possibly have it on like a floating wall mount with the background, the bare background of the original Elm Street poster. So a proper three-dimensional sculpture of the original poster. Again, I've been working on this for years, and I put it away in storage, come back to it, put it away in storage, and come back to it. Now, one of these gloves that is complete, it was actually built by yours truly about a month ago. So now and then I do redabble into making gloves. Like, I'm pretty much all retired from building gloves like full time, but now and then I just get the itch to build one. But this is one that is in progress at the moment. So this is a part 1/part 2 glove. Now, if you guys watch my vlog of me in New York the other month, I bought some Type M copper pipe from a Home Depot. So the aim is, this is going to be an as seen today part 1/part 2. So what do I mean by as seen today? Well, how the glove looks today in terms of the armature, the original prop. So it's all been shaped. The fingers have been shaped. I do have to order the blades, but the back plate is pretty much done. I just have to scour it back to get the color back to where it is, because this is a pre-existing back plate that I've had for a few years, but it fits the bill. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, for the most part, I'm going to be taking all these gloves off their mounts, except for Christian Carlson's beautiful part 2 glove. Reason being, it took me so long to get this thing on the hand mount that the idea of taking it off and putting it back on gives me fucking high blood pressure. So before that, let's start with the part 1 glove. Now, this is my part 1 glove by the very talented George Lang. And if you are going to wear a part 1/part 2 glove, you got to make sure the cuff is tucked under like that, and you fasten the ball and tape. And there you go. Now, this glove never features in the background of my videos. and I'll show you why.
Okay, so a lot of you will recognize this background here, but when I'm recording, I gotta look at this beautiful guy. So here is the part 1 glove from George Lang. Obviously I don't have it in the background because it's on my life-size Freddy. So if we just zoom out here, and apologies for the mess, I've got my molds here, my Michael Myers hand molds, Chucky head mold, just a photo of me and Robert, just some storage here that Chloe and I got to put down in our storage cage. So I always hide my shit down here, just the mess down here, and then try and have it neat here. But yeah, this is my life-size Fred. Been working on him for quite some time, on and off, changing the poses, and I settled on the pose from when he cuts his fingers off in front of Tina. I really do like that pose, and this hand here I've had laying around for quite some time. And then cut the fingers off and put some like green goo on there. This is my resin casting. The original 3D file was done by Sean Dabbs. I did the molding, casting, painting. Those eyes you see are just placeholder eyes. They're just resin castings with sharpied irises, or pupils for that matter, marked on them until the proper eyes arrive. They're on the way. That fedora is 70 years old. It's an old vintage fedora. It's as close as I could find to one of the original fedoras used in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, because they did use a few. I'm pretty sure at one point they even used a Homburg that had been like ironed out on the brim. So yeah, here is George's beautiful part 1 glove, and the colors on it are just exceptional. Absolutely love it. So it's on one of those posable hand you can get at like a craft store. You know, you can get the little man as well, but they have the posable wooden hands as well, so you can move the fingers and stuff like that. And the lighting with him just looks great. And also, I'm working on a display for my Case XX P210 tomato knife. If you did see my unboxing video of that, I was really happy to get this. This thing, you know, was made in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, and is the same make and model knife used on the part 1/part 2 glove, and it's just in pristine condition. So what I'm going to do, I've got these screen grabs here that I include down the bottom here. These are frames you can get from Kmart for a couple of bucks, so I'm going to utilize them. I've got to get another one for this screen grab, and this is on a magnet system, so you just pop it on like so, and I'll give you a nice close-up of that. So everything here will be sprayed black. This is originally a shadow box you get from Bunnings with little different slots so you can put different craft pieces in. I just gutted it all, but it also just really makes for a nice, neat display that I can hang up. And another neat little Easter egg I thought I'd show you guys. So these are my left-handed original Wells Lamont 1178 gloves. So when I get like the vintage leather gloves for my gloves to be mounted on, I always keep the lefts. I just like having them. They're a piece of history to me, Elm Street history, and funny enough, home improvement history, and also Roadhouse history. So Al Borland, Tim Taylor, they wore the 1178s and the Truckers Specials in Home Improvement, and also in the original Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, you can see this old bloke here sporting the 1178. So it varies with the Truckers Special, and then the regular 1178, and then another Truckers Special. This here is one of the first gloves I ever made when I, you know, found the proper materials like copper and brass and stuff like that. So this is, you know, a mix of a Versus backplate and a Freddy's Dead build, and it was signed by Robert Englund. This is when I sent away pieces to get signed by Robert, including a Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack cover, and he sent this back. So this has been under a case. This will never leave me. This is just very near and dear to my heart with, you know, humble beginnings and stuff like that. And these are extremely valuable to me. To anyone else, they're like, what the fuck is this? When I do interviews and stuff like that, and people ask, you know, how I got into glove building and prop building, I always say, you know, I made my first Freddy glove out of a Diet Coke can and a baked beans can. Well, here are the blades out of that baked beans can. I managed to salvage 3 of the 4. I don't know where the other one's gone. It's long gone, I'm afraid. But see this photo right here of little me with the first proper glove I ever made, mounted on an old lady's floral glove? Well, those are the blades right there. So the glove was falling apart, and I did salvage these, but yeah, these are from the original baked bean can build. I want to say back in 2001/2002. and 2.
But George has done an incredible job. I just love the charring on this, and I just love the difference between this and the part 2. Like, this is darker, this is charred, this has the rainbow kind of charring patterns on the copper stalls and stuff like that, and the brass backplate is charred to hell and back, and just the sound it makes. So, and obviously we've got the reproduction P210 blades here, and also on the part 2 glove. So, perfect segue. Christian Carlson's beautiful part 2 glove. Christian Carlson is based in Sweden. Now, when it comes to the part 1/part 2 glove, I have to say I have a soft spot for the part 2 glove. I think because of those promo photos of Robert in makeup from part 2 sporting the part 2 glove. And I just love how clean and sleek it is, but just gnarly and grungy at the same time. Movement wise, both of these gloves just move like absolute butter, and both artists have done an incredible job replicating all the smaller details, stuff that goes unnoticed by a lot of people, but to the glove aficionados, there are little details on both these gloves, and all gloves for that matter, that make them so special. Next up, we have my part 3 glove from Mr. Rudy Salazar. Now, I actually did an unboxing video on this glove a few months ago, and I've been in the market for the longest time for the perfect part 3 glove, and Rudy was the man for a part 3 glove for me personally. I just love his detailing, the finish on these gloves, the way he replicates the spray paint, because the original prop was indeed spray painted, and then kind of bits were taken off here and there. Now, he does also modify his leather gloves. He does start out from what I believe is a Carolina leather glove, which is more the style, the stitching style of the part 1/part 2. But then he goes and changes the hem along here, which is how the original leather glove was. The original leather glove that they used was a Fairfield leather glove, and if you come across one of them on eBay, they go for an absolute mozza. But again, love the movement of this thing, just love how different it is. And also, fun little fact, the prop builder Scott Nesselroe, who built the original part 3 glove for Dream Warriors, used the original part 1/part 2 glove as reference to build this glove. Next up, we have a stubby little part 4 glove from Jameson Michael Knapp over at Dark Dream Design. The part 4 is just so iconic, especially because of the promo shots of Robert wearing it, but just how different it is to the part 1/part 2 and part 3. This is when they started using the Wells Lamont 1178. So this is an original vintage Wells Lamont trucker special. So this leather glove is probably older than me, but I just love how Jameson has replicated all the detail. This is a very detailed glove, a lot of spray paint. The blades have been brazed on, the stubby little fillet blades, absolutely love it. The going word is that the part 4 was Robert's favorite glove to wear out of all, which makes sense because when I was building gloves and I did a con here in Sydney and Robert was in attendance, his assistant borrowed my part 4 for him to wear all day for photo ops, and he said, yeah, it was brilliant to wear. He loves the part 4. So that makes total sense. And Jameson has done such an incredible job. Now, not a lot of people know, at one point, the rivet, the bottom rivet on the back plate lifted up from the leather glove. So that's why you can make such a good fist with it, like so. Next up is a glove I actually built a couple of months ago. This is a part 5 Dream Child glove. This is like the not really most fan favorite glove out there, but I definitely do have a soft spot for it. So this, again, is original vintage Wells Lamont 1178. And yeah, it was good to build one of these. I was using screen used templates, which is pretty cool. They're readily available and out there. So, you know, it's great. You know, you get Ryan Effner's templates. Ryan Effner built the part 5 gloves and the part 6 gloves. And I was pretty happy with how it turned out. There are certain things I would go back in and change, and I definitely have to hone my skills back in because it has been quite a while since I built a glove. But yeah, overall, pretty happy. I am eventually having a part 5 built by a very dear friend who makes some incredible part 5 gloves. So this essentially is just a placeholder for now. And again, it was just good to cut my teeth again on some glove building. And I always like it. Like I said, I always get a bit of a hankering to build a glove now and then. And the part 5 glove, or gloves, because there were so many built for part 5, like you couldn't really pick one. And I have no idea which particular one this is, which hero it is. It's the most common one that you usually see on auction sites. Next up is my second favorite glove. You know, when it comes to like the part 1/part 2, it's then the part 6 Freddy's Dead glove. I love how chunky, tanky, tetanusy this glove is. And this was also made by Jameson Michael Knapp over at Dark Dream Design, who also made my part 4. There's something about the butter knives, the pinky fillet knife that they use, that Ryan Effner used. This again is utilizing a vintage Wells Lamont 1178, and I just love it. It's just so disgusting and just so different from what we started with the original part 1/part 2 glove. And that actually goes for Freddy as well. Like, the Freddy that sports this in Freddy's Dead is so far removed and so different from what we got in the original 2 Elm Street films. It's ridiculous. But Jameson, once again, has killed it with all the detail, the solder spills, the chunky solder spills for that matter. And I love it. Like, I always come in here and put one of these gloves on now and then, and most times out of 10, it's the part 6. And last but certainly not least, and this is a very cool piece, my Wes Craven's New Nightmare resin casting biohand / bone claw. This comes from a crew gift. It was molded off a crew gift that they gave out on production, and that derived from the molds that they used to create Robert's biohand as Freddy Krueger in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So this came as a blank casting from a good friend of mine, Peyton Patrone, who got his hands on a resin casting, a spare crew gift resin casting. He took a mold of it and offered copies, and then I went ahead and painted it. And I do have a tutorial on the Cosplay Chris channel of how I made this. The blades you can remove for easy storage and transport. So they are chrome plastic blades that lock in like so. But I love how different this piece is. The design of Freddy in Wes Craven's New Nightmare isn't exactly my favorite design, but to complete the collection and just how different this is, and the fact that it's organic and the blades and the bones are growing out of his hand, I think is so badass, so cool. And again, it just complements the entire collection. I love it. And there you have it, guys. That is my Freddy Krueger glove collection so far. Like I said, I'm in the market currently for a Freddy vs. Jason versus B hero glove. I really don't have a need or a desire to get a remake glove. I may down the line just to be a completionist and complete the set. It's not my overall favorite design, and I'm not really a fan of it. But again, if I want to be a completionist, I'll probably get one. Now, I will leave the details down below for all of these wonderfully talented makers of these gloves, and also the resin casting from Wes Craven's New Nightmare. With that being said, guys, drop a comment below and let me know what is your favorite Freddy glove design, or if you had the chance to design Freddy's glove, how would you do it? How would you tackle it? And what would you do different? Love you guts. And I'll catch you in the next one.